Hey friends, what's up? How's it going? Thanks for stopping by for today's video. If you're new here, welcome. On my channel, I like to talk about all the romance books I read. I read almost all the different little subgenres in the romance categories, except for really paranormal. I have tried a couple times, but I can't seem to quite get into it. So if you have recommendations on a good paranormal book, paranormal romance book, I am always looking for a great recommendation. You know, I consider myself a pretty open person, but there's something about when a book gets a little too far out for me, I can't quite get it. I don't know. In any case, it's my channel's mission to support authors on this platform. If I like the book, regardless of whether it's an author with a huge following or it's an author that this is their very first book that they've put out, if I like the book, I love to talk about it. So that's the type of thing you will find on my channel. And before we get into today's video, I'd also like to take a second to remind you to subscribe. And if you like the video, hit the thumbs up button. It will not only help me and my channel, but it will also help the author who we are talking about today. Today's book is called Black Velvet by Madelynne Ellis. This is the first book I've read of hers. I know that this series, which I believe is called the Stirred Passion series, it's an interesting series in that all of the books, I think I have this right, all of the books are part of this Sunsetters actors group that she's written about before. So I chose this book. A bunch of those other books in the Sunsetters world were available to read as well. I picked this one because I thought this one sounded good to me. There are a few others. They are all under the same umbrella, so to speak. They do need you to be an open reader, which is what drew me to wanting to read it. I did feel a little bit behind the 8 ball with this because I hadn't read the other series, the other books, and I think that if I would have read the other books, these characters would have been a bit more meaningful to me. I felt a little bit like I wasn't getting their whole story, but that's my own fault. That has nothing to do with Madelynne's writing at all. As I said, this book requires you to be a bit open as a reader and be accepting of all different kinds of people and be respectful of people's sexual preference. The books in this series all are very fluid. So you might get some male-male action, you might get some threesome action between, you know, male, female. I don't remember everything, but I feel like she covers the gamut with a lot of it. This particular book was also written and had a different title before. It was called Bath Bomb, and it was under the pen name Clara Lee. And she notes that, Madelynne notes that in the front of the book, that it was previously under a different title and a pen name. And it's funny because Bath Bomb, as soon as I read that, in preparing for the video, it made perfect sense. Black Velvet has 3 main characters. They are Lorne, Michaela, and Jasper. The book starts out with Lorne and his friend Dare. It becomes apparent pretty quickly when the story starts that Lorne is in love with Dare. They are very good friends, but Dare is newly engaged to a woman named Flicka. Again, I believe that there is a whole story, greater story in this series about these characters. It was a little bit of a sad beginning for me. I felt bad for Lorne in that Dare has asked him to do something to prove something in himself to his fiancée. And I thought that's a really crappy position to put your best friend in. And then going on to read a little bit more that Lorne doesn't know if Dare was actually ever aware of his feelings, Lauren's feelings towards Dare. I kind of feel like with the sexual intimacy that Lauren talks about the two of them having, how could Dare not have known that? But in any case, that's the way the story goes, and that's why I felt a little bad for Lauren, because here he's watching his best friend go, and he's going to go get married and leaving him behind. That is something that Lauren struggles with throughout this book, and I understood that. I felt for him. In his mission to get over Dare and move on with his life, he has started working on a new TV series where he meets Jasper. Jasper and Lauren have a connection. Jasper is very fluid. I don't think it's a secret that he's sexually fluid. He meets Jasper, he's attracted to him. Jasper seems to be attracted back, but yet I don't think is very out in the open as far as his preferences. So Lauren comes up with a plan that since they're going to work together, they should spend some good time together and bond. And they go away for the weekend. That's where Michaela comes in. Michaela is, you know, we don't learn a lot about Jasper or Michaela in this story. It's a pretty quick, fast-moving story. We don't get a lot of detail. You know, we don't dive really deep into these feelings and these situations. And I think that's just the way that Madelynne wrote it. It's very fast-paced. So Madelynne happens to be quite a surprise to Lauren and Jasper. It's an honest mistake. She thought it was her weekend to rent the cabin that it turned out that Lauren and Jasper were going to. There's a snowstorm, so nobody can leave. The rest of the story goes with them trying to figure this out. It's very steamy. It's interesting in that, you know, when people are just kind of open with each other, they're adults, they're all consenting. This book is not timid. They just kind of go for it. We get the tension that Jasper is feeling about himself and him being attracted to Lauren. We get the tension of him questioning that because now here's this very good-looking woman, Michaela, in their midst. There's one bedroom, one bed. We get all that tension. It's definitely a great story. It's a quick read. There's not a lot of meat, but yet Madelynne dives into some really interesting subject matter in this book. I would definitely be interested if I had time to go back and read the other books in this series, because I think it felt like there was so much promise with all the characters and where they were in their lives. I have added the rest of the books to my to be read list. My to be read list at this point I think has like 200 books on it. But I never want to forget about a book that I think interests me, so I always add, if I think I like it, I always add it to my to be read list. Let me know if you have read any of those other books, what you have read by Madelynne Ellis. I'm always interested to hear your thoughts on the books that I talk about here. Thanks for hanging out with me today, guys. I'll see you soon. Bye.